Heartwarming 12-year-old boy discovers shocking betrayal, inspires life-changing revelation at diner. The sun beamed down on the Maple Spoon, the iconic diner of Pinewood Falls, where laughter bubbled like the soft drinks being served. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of baking pies, apple, cherry, and the town's favorite, blueberry. It radiated warmth much like the community it fed. 12-year-old Liam Johnson spent his summer here, soaking in the bustle and charm like it was the sweetest pie fresh from the oven. Little did he know, his innocent curiosity would soon crack open a shocking truth that could shatter the very heart of the town. Every morning Liam helped his mother, who managed the local food bank. She taught him about kindness and hard work, filling his heart with the spirit of community. He carried these lessons to the Maple Spoon, cherishing moments spent with regulars who felt like family. From Mrs. Hargrove's stories about her late husband to the giggles of children slurping milkshakes, every whisper and smile felt like a piece of home. But on one fateful day, curiosity led him to a dusty corner of the diner where some forgotten boxes lay. Inside one dusty box, he found wrinkled envelopes spilling out thousands of dollars. His heart raced. Stolen funds? Liam's gut twisted in disbelief. Searching for answers, he investigated a little deeper. The joy of summer faded like a pie gone cold as worry gnawed at him. Every face around him tightened his chest. Who could betray this sacred trust? As days went by, a chilling realization washed over him. Mr. Thompson, the man everyone revered as a local hero, was the thief. Mr. Thompson, the brave war veteran, whose tales of courage inspired children, whose kindness shone brighter than the midday sun. How could this be? Liam felt a storm brewing inside. Should he report the truth and tarnish the legacy of a man he grew up admiring, or protect the community's heart? Anxiety fluttered in his stomach. The Maple Spoon felt more haunting than homely now. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. One stormy afternoon, as rain streaked down the windows, Liam finally confronted Mr. Thompson outside the diner. The man's weathered face seemed to tremble, shadows of disappointment and regret dancing in his eyes. Liam's voice shook, laden with fear and determination. Why, Mr. Thompson? Why would you do this? Moments passed like bricks weighing down the air, stretching the silence until a single tear slipped down Mr. Thompson's cheek. The diner buzzed with anticipation, whispers of turmoil seeping through the walls. People began to realize something was amiss, stirring debates on the very essence of integrity. Talk of holding someone accountable weighed heavily like a leaden cloud above the town. Liam felt the pressure, yet hope flickered in the corners of his heart. Could honesty pave the way for redemption? As whispers turned to shouts, he knew there was no turning back. With the support of friends and family, Liam hatched a plan for a fundraising event to heal the community and restore what was lost. Yet dread clung to him. Would they understand? Could they forgive? Would the Maple Spoon survive this unthinkable break? As the day of the event drew nearer, anticipation electrified the air. Faces filled with uncertainty mirrored his own, but a sense of unity blossomed within him. He wondered, can a town truly forgive its heroes when they fall from grace? As laughter mixed with hesitant murmurs, Liam gazed toward the horizon, his heart pounding with the weight of what lay ahead. The days leading up to the fundraiser felt like a marathon with no finish line. Liam's heart raced, a mix of excitement and fear overwhelming him. Posters adorned the walls of the Maple Spoon, bright colors shouting about the Pinewood Falls Unity Day. The design featured Mr. Thompson at his best, an inspiring smile, hands raised in community service. Liam's stomach churned every time he caught a glimpse. As the sun began to set on the eve of the event, Liam stood in the dimly lit diner, its usual cheer now replaced by an electric tension. Tables filled with townsfolk buzzed with chatter. The familiar sounds of clattering dishes and the sizzling of burgers felt comforting yet surreal. Liam felt each heartbeat echo his mounting anxiety. The weight of what he was about to confront settled on his shoulders. "Hey Liam." A cheery voice pulled him from his thoughts. It was Ellie, his best friend, her carefree spirit seeming to brighten the room. "You doing okay? You look like you saw a ghost." He forced a smile. "Just thinking about tomorrow. I want it to go well." Ellie's eyes sparkled with determination. "We'll be great. Everyone is rooting for you, especially Mrs. Hargrove. She talks about your hard work all the time." But nothing Ellie said could lift the looming uncertainty rattling in Liam's gut. He just nodded, hoping his smile didn't betray the storm swirling within. Later that night, as the diner emptied and the last slice of pie was served, Liam lingered, replaying the conversations he had overheard. Comments about Mr. Thompson drew sharp lines in his thoughts. "Maybe it's just a misunderstanding. He has always been so good to us. He helped my family during the drought," echoed in his head. Liam found himself wishing it were that easy to brush it all aside, to simply hold on to the comforting memories rather than confront the unsettling truth. "Did I?" In a quiet moment, he wavered, contemplating whether he was doing the right thing. Did truth mean harm? He longed to believe in the ability of people to heal and learn from mistakes. The warmth of the diner enveloped him as he closed his eyes, seeking clarity in the remnants of fading sunlight pouring through the windows. Then, a loud knock on the door startled him. Opening it, he found Mr. Thompson, rain-soaked and shivering. The parishioner offered a trembling smile, but it fell flat, revealing the tension in his demeanor. Liam felt a wave of sympathy wash over him, but also fear. Here was the man who, in so many ways, had built this community, now looked as lost as himself. "Liam," Mr. Thompson began, his voice raw. "I know things seem broken right now, but I want you to know that I—" His words faltered, as if uttering his truth meant tearing the last bits of pride he had left. "I want to do right by everyone." The boy's heart hammered wildly. This was it, his chance to say it all. Yet, the thought of tearing apart what should be a joyful gathering was almost too much to bear. Liam stepped back, offering the shaken man space. Should he protect this fragile moment by not unveiling the truth? Or would silence just trap Mr. Thompson deeper in his deceit? Inside, he wrestled with himself, and suddenly, like a fresh breeze pushing through an open window, clarity pierced through the fog. It wasn't just about right or wrong. It was about healing and the love they all shared. The community deserved that chance. "Mr. Thompson," Liam finally said, his voice steady despite the turbulence within. "We need to talk. Tomorrow at the event, just be honest with everyone. They deserve to know." The man's eyes reflected fear, yet they also flickered with something more, a glimmer of hope. Would this courage lead to the redemption the town needed? The next day loomed before them, and the weight of impending revelations threatened to pull the whole community down. As Liam looked out into the distance, he wondered if the strength of love could mend the cracks of betrayal, or if some wounds would be too deep to heal. Could tomorrow truly bring about a change? Would bravery sprout from the ashes of disappointment? The sun rose over Pinewood Falls the next morning, its rays piercing through the thick morning fog like an awakening reminder of hope. Liam, however, lay awake in bed, the weight of the upcoming event sitting heavy on his chest. He stared at the ceiling, running through every possible scenario. Would the truth heal the town? Or would it shatter the fragile trust built over years? He rolled over, trying to grasp a shred of confidence from the warmth of his blankets. When he finally stepped out into the bustling streets, the community was already alive with preparation. Colorful banners filled the park, fluttering gently in the fresh morning breeze. But beneath the crowd's excitement, Liam sensed a palpable tension. Ellie spotted him from across the field and bounded over, her hair bouncing like her spirit. "Look at all the people. It's going to be amazing," she exclaimed, her eyes wide with anticipation. "Yeah, amazing," Liam muttered, scanning the faces around them. He wished he could feel the same enthusiasm as people began to gather. Old memories stirred within him, sharing ice cream, playing tag, and running down the same streets they'd now paved with their trust in one man. And that trust was about to face a storm. He spotted Mr. Thompson near the center stage, shaking hands and thanking everyone for coming, his expression radiating warmth but buried under an ocean of apprehension. The sight made Liam's heart race faster, every beat reminding him of the promise he made last night. "Hey Liam," Ellie said, snapping Liam's attention back. "You okay? You look like you're thinking too hard." "Yeah, just trying to find the right words," he replied, forcing a smile as the clock edged closer to the event's start. Liam moved to the side, feeling both the electric excitement and the heavy burden pressing down on him. He practiced his speech in his mind, shaping and reshaping it like clay. Could he really do this? Would revealing the truth bring closure? Or would it drive a wedge between everyone? At last, the moment arrived. The crowd gathered beneath the shade of the old oak tree, anticipation buzzing as Mr. Thompson stepped up to the microphone. He looked regal yet utterly vulnerable, standing before the community he'd spent his life serving. "Thank you all for being here today," Mr. Thompson began, his voice steady but warm. "Pinewood Falls has always been about unity, about being there for one another. But today, I must speak from the heart and share something important." Unsure if he should come forward now, Liam felt all eyes on him. The crowd hung on Mr. Thompson's every word. Yet part of him felt a strange pull. This was it. He had to stand up. Liam's legs moved of their own accord as he stepped into the open space in front of the audience. The gasps were immediate. "Mr. Thompson," Liam said, his voice cutting through the air like a knife, "I think it's time we all know the truth." Mr. Thompson's eyes widened, and a rush of silence enveloped the crowd. Liam's heart pounded louder than ever, but he pressed on. He could feel Ellie's eyes on him, the weight of her courage giving him strength. "People deserve honesty, even if it's hard to hear. We can't heal without facing what's really going on," he added, his voice shaking but unwavering. The tension was thick, and Liam watched as community members exchanged confused glances, the atmosphere poised to tip in either direction. Was he jumping into a battle no one was ready to fight, or was this the moment they would finally face the truth? As the first few murmurs began, he could feel the air shift like a storm drawing near, or perhaps the sweet smell of rain promising renewal. "Liam," Mr. Thompson began, the worry evident in his eyes. But there were no turning back now. Could love really triumph over betrayal, or would the truth expose wounds they weren't ready to confront? The answer loomed just out of reach, hanging in the air like the thunderclouds above. Liam stood in the eye of a storm. The crowd's murmuring grew louder, swirls of whispers circling around, eyes darting between him and Mr. Thompson. A tension that felt almost tangible entered the air, mixed with the sharp scent of impending rain. He searched the faces in front of him, desperate to find an ally. There were friends, neighbors, and even distant figures he hardly recognized. Each pair of eyes told a story. Some looked curious, others shocked, and a few bore the weight of fear. Liam's throat tightened. Had he underestimated their readiness to confront the truth? "Liam, please," Mr. Thompson cautioned, his voice low. "Consider the ramifications of unveiling this now. We've built something beautiful here. We don't need to destroy it." "No, sir," Liam replied, his voice firmer than he felt. "What we've built can only stand strong if it's built on honesty. We've all been living in the dark. I can't let this continue." Ellie stepped forward, her wide eyes locked onto his. "You're right, Liam. We deserve to know what's been happening." Her voice blurred the tension, injecting hope into the gathering. It was a small spark, but it caught fire as murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. "Liam," Mr. Thompson pleaded, taking a step forward. "This isn't just about us. There are consequences to consider." "Maybe it's time to face those consequences," Liam insisted. A fierce wind began to whip through the park, as if urging him on. "We can't fix what's broken if we keep pretending it's fine." The crowd shifted, leaning forward. Liam felt the weight of their anticipation. The world outside faded. All that mattered was the truth he was about to unravel. With a deep breath, he shared the story that had been gnawing at him, the secrets that threatened the foundations of their close-knit town. He painted a picture of promises broken, of trust eroded with whispered lies. There's been talk of mismanagement, funding that went missing, while some families suffered to make ends meet. "We all have known something was off but chose not to look at it," he said, the emotions pouring out. "I'm not here to blame. I want us all to heal together." For a moment, silence reigned, heavy and resonant. Then chaos broke loose. Voices clashed, anger and confusion emerging from the depths of the crowd. "How could this happen?" Someone shouted. "We were all counting on Mr. Thompson." Fear and anger surged like waves, and Liam's heart raced with each subsequent outcry. Faces twisted in confusion and disbelief. Mr. Thompson raised his hands, trying to quell the unrest. "Everyone, please. Let's not jump to conclusions. We need to discuss this rationally." But Liam felt the tide turning. Things had already changed. The foundation of trust they had built was beginning to crumble under the weight of the truth. Then in the middle of it all, Ellie found her voice again. If Mr. Thompson is guilty, then we need to know. But if he is not, he deserves a chance to explain. The crowd turned toward her, their gazes shifting with uncertainty. Liam's heart sank. Would they be able to find common ground? Or would this revelation plunge their community into conflict? The rays of hope he desperately sought now felt like flickers amidst the growing storm as Liam stood there. Caught between fear and resolve, everything lay on a precipice. That moment, that frame in time, held the potential to reshape everything in Pinewood Falls. What would they ultimately choose, to unravel or to unite? And as rain began to fall, droplets mingling with the unsteady energy in the air, Liam braced himself for the answers that were about to unfold. Could they really face what had been hidden for so long? Or would denial win out in the end? The storm rumbled overhead, setting an ominous backdrop for the chaos erupting around Liam. He could feel the electric energy in the air, the heat of resentment swirling among the townsfolk. Faces once familiar, now mirrored a whirlwind of disbelief and anger. They were grappling with a truth they had long buried, a truth that had shaken the foundation of their lives. "Liam, you have to understand, this could ruin us," someone cried out. It was Mrs. Callahan, her voice trembling as she clutched her purse protectively. Fear glimmered in her eyes, and Liam felt a pang of sympathy. But he couldn't back down now, wouldn't deny what had been dragging the community down. His heart raced as Mr. Thompson's face contorted into a mask of frustration and desperation. "Think about your friends, Liam. Think about what you're doing." He stepped closer, and the crowd instinctively fell silent, hanging on to his every word. "Do you really believe this is the right way?" But Liam couldn't allow himself to falter. "The right way?" he echoed, shaking his head. "This hasn't been right for years. You're telling me to think about my friends, but they're the ones suffering because of this." The wind howled, carrying away Liam's quiet resolve, pulling it into the gathering storm clouds. The first raindrop splattered on the pavement, each tiny impact a reminder of the battle ahead. He searched the crowd, seeking eyes that held unwavering trust, but found only fickle uncertainty. Then, Ellie stepped forward again, her damp hair sticking to her forehead. "Liam is brave for speaking up," she shouted, a spark of defiance in her tone. "We all feel uneasy about what's been happening. If we keep quiet, nothing will change." But the cry for action only intensified the storm of emotions swirling within the group, voices rising in a clash of anger and fear. They were torn between loyalty to Mr. Thompson and the harsh reality of his alleged misdeeds. A chorus of protests erupted, each person vying to be heard over the next. "Liam, stop. You're putting us in danger. No more secrets. We deserve the truth." The shouts echoed through the park, reflecting the internal struggle tearing through Pinewood Falls. A place they'd all called home, now battling over the integrity of their leaders. Caught in the whirlwind, Liam felt the weight of the moment crash down upon him. Beneath the rage, an undercurrent of pain lingered. Lives shattered by the lies that fed their comfort, families hanging by a thread, desperately trying to make sense of a world turned upside down. "Look," Liam finally said, his voice cutting through the chaos. "This isn't just about Mr. Thompson or me. It's about all of us. If we want a community, we have to stand together through this storm together." The words seemed to land, the crowd falling momentarily quieter. Each face softened just a bit, as if considering the truth in the storm's fierceness. But just as hope flickered in their eyes, a new voice emerged. "What if you're wrong, Liam? What if you've just ruined everything?" The question hung in the air, laden with the weight of anxiety and fear. Would the truth bring them together? Or was it just the beginning of something much darker? As the rain poured down harder, soaking through the fabric of their tension, Liam took a deep breath. The moment was fragile, and the choices ahead felt impossibly heavy. Light and dark, unity and division, where would they fall as the storm continued to brew around them? Clenching his fists, Liam knew the battle was only beginning. Could they find the strength to embrace the truth that might just save them all? Or would they let fear drive them apart? With the lightning striking overhead, he felt a resolve building inside him. Whatever lay ahead, he wouldn't face it alone. And as the storm raged, answers became necessary. What awaited them as the fabric of their lives began to unravel? Liam stood in the downpour, raindrops mixing with the sweat on his brow. Fear and uncertainty stirred in the crowd like a tide, but he clung to his conviction, feeling Ellie's presence beside him. She met his gaze, her eyes glimmering with something between hope and determination. In that moment he wasn't alone. The echo of the question, "What if you're wrong?" replayed in his mind. The faces around him were a blend of confusion and concern, but they were also full of that unmistakable human desire for truth, no matter how scary it was. "Listen," Liam shouted, amplifying his voice over the storm. "We can't let fear define us. If we keep hiding behind comfortable lies, we won't be a community. We'll just be broken pieces of a bigger puzzle." As if summoned by his words, a murmur ran through the crowd. Some began to nod, their faces shifting from anger to contemplation. They were grappling with the weight of possibility, the weight of honesty. As the rain intensified, their vulnerability was laid bare. At a moment later, Mrs. Callahan stepped forward again, trembling less, her voice steadier. "What if this truth, this change is what we need? What if we've been staying quiet for too long?" Her words hung in the air, and Liam felt the shift. Hope flickered, igniting a warmth despite the chilly rain. He turned to the crowd, seeing the resolve begin to uncoil in the eyes around him. "Let us talk about it," someone shouted from the back, the suggestion echoing Liam's own desire for dialogue. More voices joined in, urging each other to share their fears and their truths, breaking down the barriers they had built against one another. Liam's heart raced. This was the moment he had hoped for. "Let us meet tomorrow at the community center," he suggested. "We'll discuss what we're scared of, and what we can do. If I'm wrong, we'll figure it out together." Before the storm it felt impossible, but now a plan was forming, a flicker of unity amidst the chaos. It felt like a beginning, a yearning to bind their fractured community. The thunder rumbled again, but this time it felt less ominous. The sky was dark, but Liam sensed that light was breaking through the clouds, as if the collective spirit of Pinewood Falls was awakening. As the crowd dispersed, soaked to the skin yet feeling lighter, Ellie squeezed Liam's arm. "You started something today. Not everyone is going to agree, but at least they're thinking." "I just hope it's enough," he replied, heart still racing. But they both knew it wasn't. He just hoped there was action ahead, and in action, they might find strength. Liam glanced around, seeing the mixture of apprehension and newfound determination in the faces of his neighbors. A surge of responsibility washed over him, adrenaline fueling his resolve. The storm might rage on, but he could feel the tide turning. Tomorrow, he whispered to himself, the thought rushing forward like the wind. Tomorrow will be the start of something real. Yet as he walked home, doubt crept back in, whispering dark questions beneath the applause of the thunder. What if the truth tore them further apart instead of bringing them together? Standing at the threshold of his front door, he held his breath. Was he ready to face any fallout? The stakes had never felt higher. The storm raged on, but one truth was undeniable: whether this storm led to clarity or chaos, they were on the cusp of a reckoning. Would the community stand firm or fracture under the weight of their own truths? The morning light filtered through the droplets still clinging to Liam's window, casting small prisms across his room. The storm had passed, but an anxious energy buzzed in the air. He could feel the weight of what lay ahead, the community meeting at the center looming over him like a storm cloud of its own. As he dressed, his hands trembled slightly. He had tossed and turned all night, replaying the previous day's events over and over. Had he stirred hope, or had he merely opened the floodgates to conflict? He pushed the thoughts aside and focused on the little things: zip up his jacket, lace those sneakers tight. These mundane details grounded him, momentarily staving off the rising tide of uncertainty. "Liam, breakfast," his mom called, her cheerful voice floating up the stairs. He headed down, biting his lip when he caught sight of her. She was humming a tune while flipping pancakes, a stark contrast to the storm brewing in his heart. "Hey bud, you all right?" she asked, noticing his distracted demeanor. "Yeah, just nervous about today," he replied, sitting at the kitchen table. She stopped and placed a hand on his shoulder, warm and reassuring. "You're brave for speaking up, you know. Not everyone has that courage. Remember, it's okay to be scared." He nodded, appreciating her encouragement, but it wasn't enough to silence that nagging voice echoing in his mind. As he finished breakfast, he couldn't keep the questions at bay. What if someone challenged him? What if old wounds reopened? Those thoughts tightened his stomach, but the vision of Ellie's hopeful eyes pushed him to stand tall. He had to do this for her, for everyone who felt trapped in silence. By the time he reached the community center, people were trickling in, their conversations a blend of excitement and trepidation. Liam took a deep breath, feeling the weight of their collective hopes and fears resting squarely on his shoulders. He glanced around, searching for Ellie. When he found her, she was standing at the entrance, her face lit up with encouragement. "Are you ready?" she asked, smiling brightly. "I guess so. But what if they just don't understand?" Liam responded, anxiety creeping back into his voice. "Then we'll explain it together," Ellie assured him, her sincerity strengthening his resolve. One by one, familiar faces filled the chairs, casting wary glances at one another. Liam stood at the front, fidgeting with the hem of his shirt, as the room settled into a charged silence. "Thank you all for coming," he began, his voice wavering. "Yesterday we talked about honesty. It's scary but it's necessary. So today let us really talk. What are we afraid of?" As the discussions unfolded, he was taken aback by the rawness of the emotions shared. Voices cracked and hands shook as residents spoke of discontent, fear, and the yearning for connection. Stories poured out, each one echoing the struggles beneath the surface. Liam listened as the fabric of their community began to weave itself back together. But as one neighbor raised a hand to speak, tension pulsed through the air. What if the truth comes with consequences that we can't handle? Liam's heart skipped a beat, the weight of that question heavy. He could feel the room hold its breath. This was the moment, the one he had feared yet yearned for. "What if it does?" he finally replied, realizing there was strength in vulnerability. "But we can't let fear stop us from being honest with each other." The choice hung in the air, palpable and potent. The room seemed to vibrate with possibilities, most seemingly out of reach but tinged with promise. And then, just as a collective determination started to rise within him, a loud crash echoed from outside, pulling their focus back to reality. Liam's heart raced. What had just happened? "Liam, stay close," Ellie urged, her eyes wide with concern. As they rushed towards the door to check, the reality of their fragile unity hung in the balance. What awaited them outside that door could either shatter their newfound openness or build them back stronger. What was that crash? Would it lead to a confrontation or a revelation? The door swung open with a creak, and a rush of cool air filled the room. Liam and Ellie stepped outside, squinting against the brightness, the vibrancy of the day abruptly at odds with the tension they felt. What was that noise? Liam rasped, scanning the area. His palms were clammy with apprehension. Was it just a tree branch or something worse? They stepped out into the parking lot, where a small crowd was gathering, their faces drawn tight with confusion. Liam's heart thudded against his rib cage as he focused on a broken lamppost that had toppled over. Glass shards glittered like tiny stars, scattered around the pavement, but something at the foot of the pole caught his eye. A crumpled piece of paper fluttered in the wind, partially wedged under one of the heavy concrete bases. Eagerly, Liam bent down to retrieve it, his brow furrowing as he recognized the handwriting. It was Mrs. Harper's, an elderly resident known for her no-nonsense attitude but warm heart. What could she possibly have written that warranted being thrown away like this? "Liam, be careful," Ellie warned, stepping closer, her expression a mix of curiosity and concern. They both unfolded the paper together, and Liam's stomach twisted as he read. It was a letter addressed to Mr. Klein, the town mayor, full of complaints about missing funds meant for community projects. Words like betrayal and disappointment leapt off the page. Liam glanced up at Ellie, her eyes wide with realization. "This could change everything," she murmured, her voice thick with disbelief. As the surrounding crowd continued to murmur and speculate about the broken lamppost and what it meant, Liam felt the shadows of doubt creeping back in. What if this letter only deepened the divides they were trying to bridge? Yet the thrill of unearthing a truth lingered in the air, palpable and electric. Were they ready to face this? "Do we show everyone?" Liam asked, his throat dry. The letter felt heavy in his hands, more than just paper. It felt like a potential catalyst for change. "What if exposing this tears us apart?" Ellie challenged, her voice steady but worried. "What if it turns into a blame game?" He almost wished she hadn't said that. Doubt mingled with the adrenaline he felt pooling into his chest. The community meeting had been about unity, not division, but was it possible that the truth could forge a deeper connection? We have to decide. Liam's voice came out stronger than he felt. If it's going to improve things, we can't keep it hidden. People deserve to know. Ellie bit her lip, glancing back at the gathering crowd. You're right. But we have to think about how we present it. As they stepped back toward the group, the weight of the moment began to shift. People were turning their attention to them, their expressions a blend of curiosity and wariness. Did you find something? A voice called from the crowd. Liam took a deep breath, gripping the letter tightly. This was it. The storm had come to a head, and he stood trembling at the eye of it, full of fears, but also of a deep sense of purpose. We did, he declared, his voice cracking slightly as he raised the letter high above his head. And we need to talk about what it means for us. The room buzzed with an electric anticipation, uncertainty mixed with hope. Liam felt Ellie's hand slip into his, squeezing it tightly. Outside, the sun shone brighter as if encouraging them to move forward. But inside him, shadows flickered. What would this revelation mean for the community they were trying to heal? As they leaned into the tension, a sense of urgency crackled in the air. Could this come together in a way that felt empowering rather than destructive? And what would they uncover about their beloved town that they'd never seen coming? The crowd shifted, an electric charge reverberating through the air as Liam's words hung there, heavy and fraught. He felt Ellie's hand tighten around his, a silent pact that they were in this together. Each face that turned toward them flickered with a mixture of fear and hope, as if everyone sensed the thunderstorm brewing, just behind the cracked facade of their community. What does it say? Someone shouted from the back, yearning for clarity. Liam cleared his throat, trying to steady the tremor in his voice. It's a letter from Mrs. Harper to Mayor Klein. He paused, searching for the right way to navigate the waves of uncertainty. It talks about funds that were meant for our community, funds that have gone missing. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. A low murmur of disbelief mixed with rising tension shifted the air around them. Liam glanced at Ellie, whose face had paled but her determination shone bright. Are you sure it's valid? Another voice piped up, sharp and accusatory. It belonged to one of the town's most vocal skeptics, who had spent years deriding anyone who questioned authority. Liam's heart sank. Doubt. It was at the core of everything that had driven the division in their town. Of course it's valid. Ellie stepped forward, her voice rising above the uncertainty. Mrs. Harper wouldn't just write a letter without reason. Liam felt pride swell inside him as he saw Ellie rise to the occasion. She was the brave one, pushing against the tide of fear that threatened to engulf them. This is about more than just us, she continued. It's about our community. All those projects we wanted to get off the ground. They hinge on trust that's been broken. The crowd fell silent, absorbing what she said. Eager eyes flickered with a mix of hope and skepticism. The shadows of fear still loomed large. But what Ellie laid down was a seed of possibility, a way forward. What do we do now? A woman in the crowd asked, her voice trembling. We bring it to light. Liam exclaimed, feeling the urgency seep into his bones. We face it together. Ellie nodded, her determination sparking a fire in him. We can organize a meeting, discuss our next steps openly, and hold Mayor Klein accountable. But we need everyone. Voices began to rise, questions hanging in the air. Could they trust one another? Could they face this together? Liam could feel the pulse of hope fluttering down like the light that broke through the clouds of despair. But as they made plans, a whirlwind of doubt swept through him. What if the truth fractured their community even further? Wait, someone shouted, breaking through the hushed gathering. What if it turns out to be false? What then? Liam's heart stopped. He hadn't thought of that. The possibility lay before him like a split road. One path could lead them back to the safety of ignorance, but what would that cost? The other was fraught with danger, likely exposing old wounds. Even if it's a risk, we can't stay silent, Ellie whispered, breaking through his tumultuous thoughts. People deserve to know the truth, whatever it may be. He nodded slowly, filled with admiration for her. This was bigger than either of them. With the community rallying, they began to draft plans, voices growing stronger, conviction rising. As they turned their eyes toward building a brighter future, Liam caught sight of someone in the crowd, a familiar face hidden toward the back, a shadow among them. The mayor himself standing there, listening quietly, but what was he hiding? This unrelenting feeling of foreboding settled heavily in his chest. Could they make this change happen? And what role would the mayor play in their unfolding drama? As the crowd swelled with purpose, Liam felt a heavy weight on his shoulders. He thought of what lay ahead, of the battles that would have to be fought, and felt the spark of uncertainty flare again. Would they truly be able to uncover the truth? Or would it unravel more than they could bear? He turned his gaze back to the mayor, who was watching him intently, and in that moment Liam knew everything was about to change. The day of reckoning dawned bright and clear, yet a storm brewed beneath the surface at the Pinewood Falls Community Center. Liam's heart raced as he glanced around, each familiar face radiating a mix of awe, anger, and curiosity. The room was thick with anticipation, each person feeling the weight of truth heavy in the air. "Thank you all for coming," he said, gripping the sides of the podium. "Today we face what we've been avoiding. It's time for honesty." He glanced back at Ellie, standing beside him with a fierce look of determination. Her presence anchored him, reminding him they were in this fight together. The nervous energy crackled through the crowd, every side glance and hushed whisper amplifying the stakes of this moment with steely resolve. He opened the letter, each word crafted with the weight of shared accountability. Mrs. Harper wrote about missing funds. Funds that should have helped our community thrive. The crowd gasped, murmurs climbing in volume, twisting into a chaotic symphony. We can't hide from this anymore. Whether it's proven true or not, it demands our attention. A ripple of uncertainty danced through the room. Some faces turned stormy, others glimmered with hope. What if it tears us apart? A voice called from the back. Or what if it brings us together? Echoed another, igniting a flicker of hope among the dissent. Listen, Liam pressed on, his voice unwavering. Pretending everything's fine has pushed us into silence, built a wall of mistrust that's crumbling beneath our feet. We can only grow stronger if we face this as a community. Encouraged, Ellie stepped closer, eyes shimmering with passion. Scary, but we have each other. We won't just stand by. We'll rally together and demand answers. Then a figure stepped forward, a familiar face, Mayor Klein. Silence cascaded over the room. You have every right to be angry and confused. His deep voice echoed. But let us not rush to judgment. I'd like to speak about this matter. I'm willing to answer your questions directly. The tension in the air shifted, making it palpable. Liam opened his mouth to respond, but Ellie squeezed his hand. We need honesty, Mayor. What have you done? In a world of gray it's complex, but I assure you I only want what's best for Pinewood Falls. Klein insisted, his voice steady yet laced with concern. He explained how funds had been delayed due to unforeseen circumstances, reiterating his commitment to transparency moving forward. Yet doubt lingered, assigning weight to every word. Action speaks louder than promises, Liam countered, newfound strength surging through him. We need more than words. We need a plan to restore trust. As the mayor agreed, the crowd began to murmur excitedly, captivated by the burgeoning potential for change. Everyone deserves to know, and those responsible must be held accountable, said another voice from the back, echoed by encouraging nods around the room. The atmosphere morphed, shifting toward action rather than despair. Plans took form, committees emerged, each person eager to contribute to solutions. Hope bloomed where once only uncertainty thrived. Days turned to weeks as Liam and Ellie helped the community chart a new course. They organized meetings that brought together families and friends, all motivated to repair the fractures revealed by that fateful letter. As trust blossomed anew, Pinewood Falls began to emerge from the shadows of betrayal. On a sunlit day nearing Christmas, the community gathered at the Maple Spoon for a celebration. Laughter mingled with aromas of cinnamon and warm pies, all echoed with a sense of unity and healing. In that soft glow, Ellie's hand found Liam's, fingers intertwined. You did it, Liam, she said softly, her eyes sparkling. You let the truth shine through the storm. It wasn't just me, he replied, a radiant smile transforming his heart. We did it together. Liam glanced out at the joyful faces around him. The very people he cherished were now bonded stronger than ever, their hands steady in building this newfound legacy. With tears of joy glimmering in his eyes, he realized this was what community was about, standing firm together against the tide of turmoil, ready to embrace a brighter horizon. This was the moment they had been waiting for, the transformational strength they never knew they had. They had turned betrayal into a celebration of solidarity, and as laughter bubbled like the soft drinks being served, Liam felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for every single person who contributed to rebuilding the sacred trust in Pinewood Falls. As snow began to fall, coating the world in a gentle blanket of white, Liam's heart soared. The storm had brought clarity, healing, and a chance to start anew. And as he looked into Ellie's eyes, he knew they had chosen to embrace the light. Don't wait one more second. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread the love. Comment your reactions and feelings about this heartwarming ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this transformative journey with you. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.